Inside the last 24 minutes of the SportsMax Zone on this Friday. It's been a while, but Celebrity Knock is back on the SportsMax Zone. Celebrity Knock is where we vibe with influential and or prominent persons within the society. We're talking about music producers, recording artists, media personalities, athletes, politicians, all in that group have appeared on the show previously. Today's guest was born in Savannah Lamar in Westmoreland, Jamaica, and has been making music professionally since the 1980s. He operates across genres and can give you rhythm and blues, reggae fusion, and even dancehall. He recently launched his latest album, Mother and Son. We will be talking about that, as well as an upcoming project put on by the American Foundation for the University of the West Indies, Kitchen Table Talk, in aid of supporting final year at-risk UWI students. Producer, songwriter, singer, well known for singing the Jamaican anthem at Reggae Boys home matches. Welcome, Richie Stephens. That's what we call you, Richie Stephens. He's Richard Stevenson, I think.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but
Richard Anthony Stevenson.
Yeah, let me start here though, Richard, because before we went on here, I asked you if you were into sport and which was your favorite sport. You said gymnastics.
Yes, sir.
I wasn't sure if I should take you seriously, so can you expand on that?
Well, I grew up being very active, and before you know it, me and my friends, we started a gymnastic club.
Oh, you
when I was very young, yes.
Yeah.
So if you ask me about the backflips, the somersaults and so, I grew up doing that. And if you dig deeper, you might find out that I still do it up to now. But we'll talk another time about that.
So you integrate that in your
to be honest,
performances?
to be honest, I've seen you on stage and you look pretty frisky, so I have no reason to doubt what you're saying.
It is my favorite way to exercise.
It is.
Yes.
Well, that's tremendous. So
Yes.
let's make that a first on the SportsMax Zone, where we've had a celebrity knock whose favorite sport is gymnastics. But let me start here though. How did the music thing? When did you first recognize your talent and singing and music as something that you wanted to pursue?
Okay, well, I started out as the community entertainer.
That was in Savlamar?
Yes, in Savlamar, Westmoreland, community popularly known as Russia. And yes.
Well, that's the parish that Peter Tosh is from, isn't it?
Yeah, man. A lot of great people. The Itals, that's another foundation, iconic group.
Yeah.
So I started out as the community entertainer, singing for my friends and families, and so do that for a couple of years, and then I decided to go through the real test, which is to go outside of my community to sing and see if I would get the same response, you know. And it was the same. I went to Negril, which is just a few miles away from my hometown, Sav, and I started down there as a roadie, which is to set up the band, plug in the boxes and all these type of things.
And how old were you then?
I was about 15, 16.
Yeah.
Okay.
But shortly after that, I came to Spanish Town to stay with my father, and that's when I really got into the business of music.
And how difficult was that to get it off the ground? Because I
Back
know
then, there were only few studios, and the few studios were in Kingston. So leaving Westmoreland was a deliberate plan to try and get closer to the music. And my father introduced me to Mr. Neville Morris, who was a youngster that grew up with him in the Waterhouse community. And he took me in as a lead singer in a band called Stars Incorporated. So that's where that's my foundation. That's the genesis of Richie Stephens. And from there, I worked my way up.
And you've definitely worked your way up. So I'll probably have to ask you, of all these different achievements that you have, which has been the most significant?
Well, one that I just did, which is to complete a full project and an album with my mother. All the music connoisseurs and musicologists say it's the first time it has ever happened. This is a project that's been in the making for years. And for some reason, the pandemic helped to make it a reality. And we just want to say how thankful I am and how grateful I am to the Almighty and the people that support me through the years to know that this project is now a reality. My mother has finally realized her dream, and I'm just grateful.
Yeah. But Natalie Cole did have a recording with her late father, Nat King Cole, but it was done separately, was it?
A recording,
yes.
but not an album.
Not an album, it was just a recording.
Yes, yes.
And maybe you can tell us a bit more about the latest album, because you said it involves your mom and you. But give us, if you had to describe to us, what we're missing out for those who haven't heard the latest album, or what we can expect from this.
All right, so my mother is one of the bona fide singers in the family. My great-grandmother, which I didn't know, everybody told me about her. My grandmother, who I grew up with her, she didn't need a mic to sing. She would just sing without a microphone, and the power of her voice would just still blow you away. My mother is a woman that never stopped singing. So when I got the break in my early years, I decided to go back to the country for my mother, and she's been living around me since. And we did our first recording in 1992. So a lot of people feel that this is my mother's first time in the studio. It's not so. We've been recording for a few years now. First recording was in 1992, a song called Mama's Blessings. Then after that we did Shine. Shine became a success because it went #1 in Cayman, Toronto, Montreal. So we went on a little tour, and after we did that tour, I realized how difficult it's going to be for my mother to be out there as a solo artist. So I will admit there's a little bit of hesitation to put her out there, because after Mama been through much to raise us, we didn't want to expose her to the hardship of music business, because music is nice, but there's a harsh reality to music. So we didn't go forward with that. But in the back of my head, I always wanted to do a special project with my mother and allow her to be happy of us sharing her voice to the world, because my mother is indeed a very stellar singer. It's not a joke.
Wow.
Yeah. So again, we did the album. The album is consists of 14 tracks.
Right.
14 tracks. 6 of the tracks are combination songs that she and I did in combination. Then we did a few by ourselves, and so that's pretty much the concept of the album.
Yeah. Richard, this program goes, to almost 30 countries. Talk to us about some of the tours you've made and the ones that you found, most memorable, especially maybe in the Caribbean, because there are a lot of viewers here watching on from the Caribbean.
And they love you.
Thank you. Well, I've been in the music business. I've been privileged to be around in the music business for some 30 odd years, and I give thanks every day, because I've seen many come, many go. The music business is difficult. Sometimes some big talents, don't really stand the test of time.
Yes.
So I never lose a moment to give thanks to the people for still supporting me, still making me feel relevant at least. I've been all over the Caribbean. I've been to Japan, I've been to all the European countries. I've been several places, but one thing that I always attribute the longevity. People ask me all the time, what's the trick? I said, there's no trick. Yeah. My mother taught me early that when you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So my strategy is to always be on point. You mentioned sports earlier. I'm a big sportsman, because I think physical conditioning is one of the greatest ways to sustain not just your career, but life. And I do that a lot. Music is my thing, so I never stop singing yet, because a body in motion stay in motion, a body at rest stay at rest.
Yeah.
So forgive me for sounding too clinical, but
it's fine.
No,
that's kind of my philosophy throughout the years.
Richie, I remember seeing you at a concert in Montego Bay some years ago. It could have been maybe 1994 or so. I went to watch James Ingram, because the late great James Ingram is my favorite R&B singer. And you took the stage with him. Was it Yamo B there?
Yamo B there.
Yamo B there. Talk to us about that, because Ingram is a top man. And,
yes, man.
And you went there, and to be honest, you were there toe to toe with him, and he appeared to me to be very impressed with your talent.
All right, so actually James Ingram is one of my all-time favorites as well, and he came during that time. We did 3 shows. One was in Negril, one in Montego Bay, and one in Kingston.
Yes.
So
at Immaculate, I think.
Yes, Immaculate.
Yes.
Yeah, man, you're sharp, man. Anyway, we did the first show in Negril, and I performed right before him. Yes. I did my set, and I think I did a Luther Vandross song or something like that.
Yes.
And he was backstage watching and listening, and I heard that he was very, very impressed. So after my performance, he came and talked to me and said, man, your voice is amazing. So I was very impressed with that.
Yes.
And I started singing Yamo Be There same time.
Yeah.
Heavenly Father, watching us all.
Yeah. Big tune.
Take
Big tune.
from each other and give
Nothing at all. Yeah, man.
And in Foley Bombs and say, wow! I said, let's do that song. But that was my plan.
Oh, it was. Yes.
To hopefully get him to sing.
You were
that song with me.
scheming.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
So anyway, we rehearsed it, the second show at the sound check.
Yeah.
And we just started singing the song together on stage. And wow, it was just amazing from that. Amazing.
Yeah.
So I'll never forget James Ingram, because an artist of his level
Yes.
to call me
Yes.
up on stage to sing one of his biggest songs
Yes.
is just a tremendous honor. And I always remember him for that. That's so humbling for me and for him. So big up and long live James Ingram.
Yeah, he passed away the 29th of January 2019, and
Yes.
it was a stunner for me. I found out right here on the show, Richie, because George was here hosting with me, and he gave me his phone with a story that James Ingram passed away after a brain tumor. I was lost for words. I didn't know he was unwell or anything like that. He's my favorite.
They didn't announce what he was going through, so it was very shocking and sudden for everybody, because I was blown away by it as well, because he's one of my all-time favorite vocalists. I learned so much by listening to him, and it was really, really, really sad to know what happened, but that's just part of life.
Yeah, the American Foundation for University of West Indies Kitchen Table Talk,
Yes,
a fundraiser that you're a part of now, and I think this is very close to your heart as well, as it tries to address at-risk US students. Can you talk to us a little bit more about that?
Oh, so the AFUI Foundation, the America Foundation for the University of the West Indies. I'm so extra elated and happy about partnering with them, because we're raising funds for some final year students that desperately needed our support. And everybody knows we're going through the pandemic right now, and therefore a lot of people have been affected financially and otherwise. So I quickly jumped on board the 25th of September. Myself, Angela E. from the Breakfast Club in America, and the famous Oliver Samuels, the legendary Oliver Samuels, will be there at the University of the West Indies, talking to these students to let them know that they're not alone in this, And we're doing everything. We're pulling out all the stops to try and keep them in school. So that's what it's all about, really.
And of course, people who want to log in and be a part of this and donate, can you tell them, where they can head? And I know it's going to be live on our sister station as well, Scene TV.
Well, people can donate on the afuifoundation.org. And there's a telephone number which I don't have right now. I don't know if you have it.
Yeah.
But please, I'm asking you, please, from the depth of my heart, to support, because if one thing we must do is to help our youngsters with their education. We know it's the greatest tool that you could ever have. So we're asking people to do that. Support these kids with this worthwhile venture.
Yeah, and you know what? The employment opportunities that a lot of the university students have had to supplement their funds to go through university disappeared with COVID-19.
Exactly
so.
Exactly.
It makes this venture even more critical.
What's going to be special is that a lot of beneficiaries over the years that's supported by the Afui Foundation will be there to give their experience as well in talks around the kitchen table. So I'm really looking forward for that day to really express to them and let them know, listen here at the tertiary level.
Yes.
But life goes on, and you're gonna make it through. You're gonna make it through. That's our purpose for being there on the 25th of September.
I have a tough one for you before we go to break, Richie.
Yeah.
Your favorite recording. I know sometimes as an artist, your favorite recording may be completely different from what the fans think is your best recording. But I often hear people talk, and when they say which their favorite song is, I say, I didn't think so. But in your heart of hearts, what is the recording that gave you most pleasure and most success, as your inner feeling?
It's very difficult to answer a question like that over the years.
Yes.
But as I grow older, there's a song that is so significant in my life, a song called Pot of Gold, a song that I dedicated to my mother years ago. Say, Mama, you deserve a pot of gold. Yeah. You're the driving force in my life. Yeah. As you can imagine now, everything is kind of surround my mother because I grew up with my mother.
Yeah.
You understand? Mama had me early, so me and my mother literally grew up together, and she was mommy and daddy, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that song, because when I did that song years ago, I did it over from my Motown album. When I was signed to Motown, I did it over from my Motown album, and the album became the same name, Pot of Gold album from Motown.
Is this it? I can hear it in the background.
Yeah, they're playing it in the background.
Yes?
Yeah, you might not be hearing it, but...
And then after that, my first major earning, I set up a business for my mother that was called Pot of Gold.
Wow.
Then I built a recording studio,
yes,
which became the Pot of Gold Recording Studio. And then I started my label, which is the Pot of Gold Production.
Wow.
Wow, that's impressive.
So the song had to be Pot of Gold.
Yeah, good thinking.
Yes.
Richard, we're going to a break now. When we come back, we have our interactive segment and something we call the SportsMax class moments, where we have some of the most visually appealing sporting moments that we've had over the past week. Can't promise you that we'll have any gymnastics in it, but when we come back, we'll address that.
Mama, you deserve a pot of gold. You are the driving force in my life. Mama, you deserve a pot of gold. You taught me how to survive. Mama, you deserve a pot of gold. Your love has kept me alive.